Have you ever wondered what our planet looked like when it was covered in massive sheets of ice? A time when mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and giant sloths roamed a frozen landscape. This was the Ice Age, a period that reshaped our world in ways we can still see today. But what exactly was it? And could it happen again? Let's dive into the incredible story of when the world froze. First, let's clear up a common misconception. The Ice Age wasn't just one long, continuous deep freeze. It was actually a series of glacial periods, or ice ages, punctuated by warmer intervals, called interglacials. We are currently living in one of these warmer periods, the Holocene epoch, which started about 11,700 years ago. The most recent major glacial period is what most people think of as the Ice Age. It peaked around 20,000 years ago and was a truly different world. So, what caused these dramatic climate shifts? It's not one single thing, but a combination of factors working together. One of the main drivers is a phenomenon known as Milankovitch cycles. A Serbian scientist named Milutin Milankovic figured out that Earth's orbit around the Sun isn't perfectly stable. It wobbles, tilts, and stretches over long periods. These cycles change the amount of solar radiation reaching different parts of the Earth, particularly the northern latitudes. When less sunlight hits the north during the summer, snow from the previous winter doesn't completely melt. Year after year, this snow accumulates, compacts, and eventually turns into massive ice sheets. But orbital cycles alone aren't enough to plunge the world into an ice age. Other factors amplify the cooling. One key player is carbon dioxide. As oceans cool, they can absorb more CO2 from the atmosphere. Less CO2 means a weaker greenhouse effect, leading to even more cooling. It's a powerful feedback loop. Another factor is the albedo effect. Ice and snow are bright white and reflect sunlight back into space. As ice sheets grow, they reflect more solar energy, which cools the planet further and allows even more ice to form. It's a snowball effect, literally. Plate tectonics also played a role over millions of years by changing ocean currents and the positions of continents, influencing global climate patterns. During the peak of the last glacial maximum, the world was almost unrecognizable. Ice sheets, some up to 2 miles thick, covered most of North America, Northern Europe, and Asia. So much water was locked up in this ice that global sea levels were about 400 feet, or 120 meters lower than they are today. This exposed vast areas of land that are now underwater. For example, there was a land bridge called Beringia connecting Asia and North America, which allowed early humans and animals to migrate between the continents. The British Isles were connected to mainland Europe, and Australia was linked to New Guinea. Life during the Ice Age was tough, but it was also spectacular. This was the era of megafauna, giant animals adapted to the cold. Woolly mammoths, with their long, curved tusks and thick fur, were like the elephants of the north. They were hunted by formidable predators like the saber-toothed cat, famous for its enormous canine teeth, and the short-faced bear, a massive predator that would dwarf any modern bear. In Europe, you could find woolly rhinos and giant deer called megaloceros, with antlers spanning up to 12 feet. These animals were perfectly adapted to the cold, open, grassy plains known as mammoth steppes that dominated the landscape. And of course, our own ancestors, Homo sapiens, were there. They not only survived, but thrived in this challenging environment. They were skilled hunters and gatherers, living in small, mobile groups. They developed sophisticated tools from stone, bone, and ivory. They created tailored clothing from animal hides to stay warm and built shelters in caves or made temporary structures from mammoth bones. This period is also when we see an explosion of creativity, with stunning cave paintings like those found in Lascaux, France, and Altamira, Spain. These artworks give us a breathtaking glimpse into their world, depicting the animals they hunted and the symbols that were important to them. It shows that even in the harshest of conditions, human culture and art flourished. So, what brought the last ice age to an end? Around 20,000 years ago, the tables began to turn. The Milankovitch cycles shifted again, increasing the amount of summer sunlight in the northern hemisphere. This started a slow but steady melting process. As the ice sheets began to shrink, the feedback loops that had cooled the planet went into reverse. Darker ground and ocean water absorbed more heat, accelerating the warming. Melting glaciers released vast amounts of fresh water into the oceans, which dramatically altered ocean currents and weather patterns. Carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere also began to rise, further strengthening the greenhouse effect. The end of the Ice Age was not a gentle thaw. It was a period of rapid and chaotic change. Massive glacial lakes, formed by melting ice, would sometimes burst, unleashing catastrophic floods that carved out new landscapes in a matter of days. As the glaciers retreated, they left behind the features we see today: the Great Lakes in North America, the fjords of Norway, and the countless valleys and hills sculpted by moving ice. Ecosystems were completely transformed. The vast mammoth steppes were replaced by forests. As their habitat disappeared and human hunting pressure increased, many of the iconic megafauna, including the mammoths and saber-toothed cats, went extinct. This brings us to the big question: could another ice age happen? Technically, yes. As I mentioned earlier, we are currently in an interglacial period within a larger ice age cycle. Based on the natural Milankovitch cycles, Earth should eventually, over tens of thousands of years, begin to cool again and head towards another glacial period. However, there's a huge new factor in the equation: us. Human activity, particularly the burning of fossil fuels, has pumped an unprecedented amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere at an incredibly rapid rate. This is causing the planet to warm significantly, a process that is overwhelming the natural cycles. The current levels of atmospheric CO2 are higher than they have been in at least 800,000 years. Scientists believe this massive injection of greenhouse gases may have effectively postponed the next ice age for at least 100,000 years, maybe even longer. So, while the natural cycles that cause ice ages are still ticking along, our influence on the climate is currently pushing the planet in the opposite direction, towards warming, not cooling. The story of the Ice Age is a powerful reminder of how dynamic our planet's climate is and how interconnected all its systems are. It's a tale of colossal forces, incredible adaptation, and profound change that continues to shape our world. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this fascinating, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. See you next time.